Hey, what's up, guys? It is Monday. We've got one more game for week 3. And it's also September 22nd, which means it's the first day of fall, which also means it's the last day for you to take advantage of this 50% off discount. If you want to come join our Discord community, just sign up through Patreon. The link is below. And then if Patreon doesn't take you straight to our Discord server, the server link is in the description as well. Just use code SUMMER, get 50% off. Come join us. We've been having a lot of fun. Just chatting through the games, putting out plays. The community throws plays together. So if you want to come join us, take advantage of that. And so I've got 4 plays. Did a decent amount of research on this one because both of these teams are kind of hard to really get a handle on through just 2 weeks so far. But yeah, I'm going to be going with DeAndre Hopkins. I love this play, 4.5 fantasy score. I'll break it all down, but I think that's just extremely low for what he's been doing. He doesn't need to catch the ball much. They've been targeting him in the end zone. So I feel good about that 4.5 fantasy score. I'm going to go Jameson Williams over 49.5 receiving yards. Zay Flowers over 5.5 receptions, and Jahmyr Gibbs over 4 receptions. Before we break everything down, if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use code BACKDOOR, play $5, get 50 in bonus funds. It's really simple. And they have all sorts of fun games on there. Like I always talk about streaks. I love playing streaks, but check out what they have to offer. That information is down below as well. And then if you guys want to sign up for Chalkboard, $20, real simple, no deposit required. Just use code BACKDOOR. All of that is down below. And then if you sign up for any of these and you want to shoot me an email at bdfantasysports@gmail.com, just show me proof of deposit and I'll throw you a month in the Discord as well, just for supporting what I'm doing over here. So let's start breaking it down. I'm going to start by talking about the over-under. So FanDuel has this at 53.5 with Baltimore favored by 4.5 on the spread. They're playing in Baltimore. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Obviously, so does Vegas at 53.5. Outlier has it at 54.5. So we'll see how this all pans out. But I do have the weather report up here. They're saying that there could be. Okay, good. So we're looking at clear weather. Earlier they were saying potential thunderstorms, but looks like we don't really have anything to worry about. It's supposed to be in the low 70s and get a little bit colder as the game goes on, but seems like ideal playing weather. The wind doesn't seem too bad. So always like to check this for outdoor games, because it does affect the game script if you hit that threshold of the weather getting a little bit sketchy. But let's start breaking down the plays. So DeAndre Hopkins, so 2025 season so far, dude's just been catching touchdowns. He goes for 11.5 in week 1, 14.4 in week 2. And then if we take a look at what other receivers have done against Detroit, which is, I love this new feature that Outlier added. You can see the past games. So like Roma Dunze obviously went off against Detroit, 31.8, even in a blowout. And then Matthew Golden didn't do much, but it's kind of hard to pin down Green Bay. I know Matthew Golden seemed like, high draft capital, all that, but Green Bay just, they just have Jordan Love passing it to everybody. So no one really gets to eat in Green Bay except for Josh Jacobs and Tucker Kraft. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about DeAndre Hopkins, and 4.5 is so low. He doesn't even have to get in the end zone to cash this for us. Just a couple catches could get us over the mark there. But if he gets in the end zone, this is crushed. I'm surprised this is so low. So I'm feeling good about it. Let's see what Daily Grind thinks about it. This is the DFS optimizer, if you guys are unfamiliar. It essentially just crunches the numbers for you. So it'll, you set it to the platform you're on. So I have it set to Prizepicks, and it will compare that line to other platforms just to see if you're getting a value or not. They like the fantasy score to go over. Nothing too crazy, 50.86% odds to hit the over, minus 103. I can't believe everyone's got this so low. So to me, if I got this line anywhere, I'm smashing the over personally. Let's actually dive in a little deeper here. Let's see, because especially I think that the attention, let's just look at receptions first. I think the attention is going to be on Derrick Henry So overall, Detroit is solid. They're 6th in receptions allowed, about 18.5 on average so far in 2025. If we go over to wide receivers, it opens up quite a bit, 19th. So they average about 13 receptions allowed to wide receivers. If we take a look at what some of these other guys have done in the past here. So yeah, Rome Odunze in that big outing, he had 7 receptions. DJ Moore in the same game had 5. So again, we only really need Hop to get like 3 receptions, only 1 if he scores a touchdown, which we trust his hands. Dude's just been like having every catch has been like highlight reel level so far. It's just 2 games, but still, if we look further back, in the other game, it's kind of hard to compare that when it's Green Bay, since they're spreading it around so much. The target share hasn't been crazy for him, but again, we don't need volume for this to hit. 8.5% has been his target rate. But let's look at the red zone. Yeah, I guess he's not even really statistically showing up here as far as red zone targeting, but we've seen him score touchdowns in back-to-back weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of strange, but so he has 4 targets on the season. That's probably why this is so low, but it's the types of targets that he's getting. I expect him to be able to get over that 4.5, but that's just me. Let's take a look at the receiving yards allowed. So yeah, 28th in receiving yards allowed. So big plays, guys are able to, pop off like these deeper catches. 13th receiving yards allowed overall, and then specifically to wide receivers, 28th, 175.5 average receiving yards per game so far. And then if we look at his receiving yards in these first 2 outings, 35 and 64 on those 2 catches. So yards per reception, averaging 24.8. So 17.5 and 32 is what he was averaging. So that those 2 catches, the dude's just been, week 1, he had a 29 yarder. Week 2, he had a 41 yarder. The averages are looking great to me. So 2 catches will automatically put us at 2 points. And then if we just need him to go for 26 yards total to beat that 4.5, and that's not even counting if he goes in the end zone, it's crushed. So I'm feeling good about it. Let's see what else they like on the optimizer. So they do like the fantasy score over. They're not feeling the receiving yards. I'm not taking that under though, 20.5. And maybe this is the type of thing where Hop doesn't get any love tonight, but I just don't personally see that happening. But yeah, not a whole lot on the optimizer for this particular play. So we'll move on. All right, so Jameson Williams. So I was looking at the receiving yards matchup. I think that's what I ended up taking. Yeah, the receiving yards. So 49.5. Didn't really do much in week 1, 23 yards. Green Bay's been tough. In that game, 27-13. The Lions couldn't get anything rolling. But Green Bay's defense is elite, probably right behind the Browns this year. The Browns, good Lord. That defense is very impressive. And the Vikings defense, that was a pretty wild Sunday for defense and special teams. But so JMO went for 108 yards total against Chicago, who we just saw pretty much shut down the Cowboys. Couldn't get anything rolling. Yeah, they lost CeeDee Lamb early, which was a bummer. But yeah, 108 yards. Let's see what he was given there. So that's on 2 receptions. Let's see. Yeah, his average yards per reception in that game was 54. So I expect this to be a similar situation here in this game against Baltimore. I think that it's going to be a shootout. We've got the super high over under, and both teams are kind of tough to run against. That's why I wasn't really crazy about taking like the rushing yards for Derrick Henry or Jahmyr Gibbs tonight. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is a hot play, and I doubt that all those people are taking the under, but I'm just not positive that he's going to get a whole lot of run, and he's kind of been splitting the workload 50-50 with David Montgomery again. So I'll show you guys why I chose to go with his receptions instead of that rushing yards prop. I just don't have a great feeling about it tonight. But if we look at JMO here, his matchup, 32nd in receiving yards allowed. So teams can just pass all over Baltimore. And then specifically to wide receivers, 21st. So that just tells you that they're 21st to wide receivers, but overall 32nd. That means that running backs are getting love as well in the receiving game against this defense. But yeah, 162 yards of receiving yards allowed on average. And then if we take a look here and see what other teams were able to do, let's see. So with Cleveland, that's a tough one, but still Jerry Jeudy went for 51. Cedric Tillman went for 22. But then when you have Buffalo, you had Joshua Palmer go for 61 and Khalil Shakir go for 64 and Keon Coleman go for 112. So they were able to just pass all over them because they had the firepower to keep up and let that be a legit shootout. And I think that, the Lions have that as well. So as far as his target share, 13% is what he's averaging right now, so nothing too crazy. I kind of liked Laporta maybe in this as well because tight ends have also been able to get some love against Baltimore with some soft spots. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, thought about taking his receptions overall as well, but it came down to, from the Lions, I liked Jameson Williams, and I decided to go with Jahmyr Gibbs receptions. Let's take a look real fast for Jameson Williams on the optimizer, see if they're agreeing with us or not. So they like his receptions over 3.5. So that went back down to 3.5. I thought that was at 4 a little bit ago, but 3.5. I still like the receiving yards better because, like we just said, he had 2 catches and went for 108 yards in that last game. And I don't know that he has actually. He hasn't been getting a ton of targets yet. So he went for 4 in week 1 on 5 targets, 4 receptions. And then he went for 2 in week 2 on 4 targets. So I still like the receiving yards the best personally, but if you like those receptions, that's available too. Longest reception looks good, 22.5. That's favored to the over, 50.82% odds to hit the over. And the receiving yards are favored to the over, 49.5. They like that 50.52% odds to hit the over. And we got Pinnacle with it up at 52.5, and they still have that 50-50 shot. So the 49.5 is a solid value. Fantasy score, it's kind of just slightly favoring the under if you were looking at that. But to me, I like the longest reception. The longest reception and receiving yards are my 2 favorite. I'm not necessarily afraid of the receptions at 3.5, but I guess this is the matchup, but I just don't know if the volume is going to be there for him with everybody who's a capable pass catcher from Laporta to Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs. So we'll see. I think he's more of a deep, big play type guy. But let's keep it rolling here. Zay Flowers. This one's pretty simple. This is an EV plus play on Outlier, the 5.5 receptions. He's been getting solid work and looking great. He has 7 receptions in both games to start. One against Buffalo, one against Cleveland, so solid matchups there. And he's got another solid matchup tonight. And by solid, I mean like their defense is solid. So Buffalo and Cleveland are both pretty solid on defense, and so is Detroit. But they're still 19th in receptions allowed to wide receivers. Overall, they're 6th in receptions allowed, so the wide receivers are the soft spot there. If we take a look here, receptions-wise, Rome Odunze, we talked about that, Rome Odunze and DJ Moore were able to get 7 receptions and 5 receptions. So I think that this Zay just needing to come down with 6 catches to cash this for us seems pretty solid. He did it on 9 targets in week 1 and on 11 targets in week 2 against Cleveland. So I expect him to be a lot more involved in the first half, just because that seems to be like what his workload has been. Like they just kind of seem to be kind of targeting him earlier in games, and not that it falls off hard in the second half, but just looks like that's when other guys like Hopkins and Devontae Walker, I think his name is, that second-year player, they start to get more guys involved a little bit later, probably as the defense adjusts in the second half. But I also think this is going to be kind of a tough matchup for Derrick Henry. They may try to bounce back from last week when he just got completely shut down, but it's not easy to run against the Lions. And the Lions defensively, they tend to like focus kind of like the Chiefs do. They look for your biggest weapon and they say, okay, you have to beat us without that guy. And so I think that's what they're going to do, is really put a lot of pressure and focus on Derrick Henry and say, beat us through the air. That's what I'm thinking. And I'll show you guys why I think that kind of when we are wrapping up here. I'll show you the breakdown for Henry and why I'm just nervous about it. Maybe he gets into the end zone a couple times. We'll see, but I don't personally think he's having a large, crazy rushing yards game. So they like a lot for Flowers on the optimizer. They like his longest reception over 25.5. That's what the top play is. 51.77% odds to hit the over. They like his fantasy score over 15. 51.59% odds to hit the over. They like those receptions over. 51.14% odds to hit the over, minus 123. Pinnacle has it minus 122 to the over. Caesars minus 137. So everybody's got this at a 50-50 shot or favoring it to go over. They like his receiving yards as well, if you guys want that. 51.11% odds to hit the over. And they've right at a 50-50 shot, not one way or the other, on the targets at 8.5. So yeah, I like him getting 6 receptions. If he's going to be getting 9 targets, I'm just confident that Lamar will be able to get it to him in a place where he can come down with it, because Flowers does have good hands and he's a really good separator. So I think he'll be a big part of this game turning into a shootout. Let's see. Oh yeah, so to wrap it up, we got Jahmyr Gibbs. So we're getting this at 4. Some platforms have it at 3.5. If you can get it there, get it there. But the line at 3.5 is pretty juiced to go over. Jahmyr Gibbs on Outlier is showing EV plus, showing a lot of expected value there. We see his last 5 games. Let's just go straight to 2025. So he had 10 receptions against Green Bay. That was like a weird, like sort of first game of the season. They're trying to get this offense figured out. What does it look like without Ben Johnson? And I think that they definitely seem like they figured that out in a big way by week 2. But Green Bay just was shutting them down. But still, he had 10 receptions, which is pretty wild. If we take a look at that, he went 10 of 10. And then last week against Chicago, he went 3 of 3. But that was such a blowout, 52-21. You're not going to need to be passing him the ball as much, obviously. The matchup, receptions allowed overall 32nd is Baltimore. And then 2 running backs, 32nd as well. So on average, they allow 9 receptions a game to running backs. I think that the nature of this game is going to be more about him catching the ball, because I don't think Detroit's going to be able to slow them down through the air, slow down Baltimore. So I feel good about this even at 4. I like him to be able to get this done. Now we can talk about this. So against Baltimore, let's do this. We're going to go over to the rushing yards. And yeah, he went for 94 last week in a soft matchup, 27th. Baltimore, it's showing 17th in rushing yards allowed, 84 on average. So 17th, kind of middle of the road rank wise, but 84 is what they're allowing. Now, if he's splitting the workload on the ground with David Montgomery, you're kind of talking about, it being a lot more difficult even to hit that 55.5. Now, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is an elite player who could break that off in one play and just house one. There's always that upside with Jahmyr Gibbs. But I think that the focus here is going to be pretty tough if we look at what other running backs have been able to do on the ground. Now, Quinshon Judkins, who looks great, by the way, he was able to go for 61 in that game against Baltimore, and he didn't play that much. But yeah, he went for 61. Jerome Ford went for 31. Then if we come back here and look at James Cook, who is pretty comparable to Jahmyr Gibbs, and still a solid pass catcher, but I would say gets a lot more of a workload on the ground. volume wise, he's not splitting with a David Montgomery. They're just mixing in a little bit of Ray Davis, a little bit of Ty Johnson, and James Cook was only able to put up 44 rushing yards. And there was probably more of a focus of like, okay, we don't see anybody, in your wide receiver core that is some standout, big time player. Kind of similar to Green Bay, but much more efficiently. Josh Allen gets the ball to everybody. And so there was probably more of a focus on like, James Cook's not going to beat us today, even though I think he got like a lot of touchdowns in that game. But yeah, so James Cook went for 44 on probably what's going to be more rush attempts than Jahmyr is going to get tonight. So I'm just personally staying off that rushing yards that everybody's on. But I think that, the nature of the game is going to be like, okay, well, they're not giving it to us on the ground. So he's going to be one of the pass catchers that we get involved here. So if in the blowout he went for 3 and then he went for 10 when they couldn't get anything going, I like him to probably get us to 5. So let's go back to the receptions now and take a look. Yeah, so in those games, previous opponents, Dylan Sampson had 3 receptions against Baltimore. Jerome Ford in the same game had 5 receptions. And then in that game where James Cook only went for 44 yards, he still had 5 receptions. So I like it. It's making sense to me. Again, we talked about 32nd in receptions allowed, specifically to running backs, also 32nd in receptions allowed. So that's my thinking behind the James Cook stuff. Now I'm going to quickly go to, let's see, we're going to go the opposite side because I wanted to show you guys why I wasn't that excited about Henry either. So we're going to go rushing yards. We'll go back down here. We'll go to running backs. So Henry's is juiced way up at what, like 79 or something like that. And so, yeah, like DeAndre Swift put up 63, getting all the carries in Chicago for the most part, getting a very big, percentage of the carries. And then you have Josh Jacobs, who gets all the work. He went for 66. DeAndre Swift went for 63. I know that Derrick Henry is a totally different beast, but not necessarily. I mean, like, yeah, he is, but definitely over Swift. But Josh Jacobs is a monster as well. And so, yeah, Josh Jacobs, his line was set at 70.5. He only got to 66 in a game that they were probably just trying to close out for the majority because their defense was stopping Detroit. So they're just running the clock out, and he still only got to 66 yards. So I just don't feel necessarily good about Derrick Henry going over that rushing yards line because I think that's going to be one of the key players they try to stop here. So I'll show you guys a few more plays on the optimizer. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, I feel like I haven't really explained it totally well, but I have another channel and I'm running them both right now. Backdoor Fantasy Sports used to be me and Jordy. Now he's doing other things for the time being. So I'm running this by myself and I'm trying to keep my other channel from just, fading off. So I've been posting demon plays on that channel. But yeah, that's what's going on here. So the optimizer, they love Jared Goff's fantasy score over 17. They have it at a 58.33% odds to hit the over minus 139. Kyle Hampton over 6.5 tackles plus assists, 53.62% odds to hit the over minus 137. Only thing I would say about the Jared Goff play, take it as you will, but keep in mind, you're going to get, like in a single game slate, you're going to get into correlation where they penalize you a little bit. Your multipliers are just kind of tanked when you use anything but a rushing prop for quarterbacks. Maybe interception might not tank it as much, but I tend to not really go too crazy with single game slates on like stuff like quarterback fantasy score, different things like that, because it just tanks the value of what you're even investing in. But they do like Jared Goff's completions over 24 as well. A lot of quarterbacks on the top of the board right now. They think Lamar Jackson is going under 7.5 rush attempts. They're favoring that to the under. They think Tyler Loop is going for less than 1.5 field goals. 52.15% odds to hit the over or to hit the under. Yeah, the board's not loving this game. So yeah, you could go for the receiving yards if you wanted. On Jahmyr Gibbs, they do like this to go over 52%. That might be a little bit better of a value than the receptions that we're getting at 4 flat, because now he has to get to 5, obviously, to cash or push at 4. But if it gets back down to 3.5, absolutely smash that. But maybe you prefer the receiving yards. I think let's just talk about it real quick. We'll go to receiving yards on Gibbs. And if we look at what teams have done, so yeah, those receptions that guys were getting a ton of especially in that Cleveland game. So Dylan Sampson, we said he had 3 receptions. He turned that into 13 yards. Jerome Ford had 5 receptions. He turned that into 23 yards. I know that they're much better. But yeah, then you have James Cook, who went for 5 receptions and he turned that into 58 yards. So maybe you take it. It doesn't mean that all of these comparisons are a lock to what's going to happen tonight. But to me, I ended up just saying, I'm going to go with the receptions because I just feel a little bit more comfortable. But that line does seem doable, 26.5. Let's see. But then again, so last week he had 3 receptions against Chicago, turned that into 10. And then it took him 10 receptions against Green Bay to turn that into 31. So you see why I'm kind of leaning more receptions than receiving yards, but I see the upside in both cases here. So go with your gut. Zay Flowers, longest reception, they like that to go over 25.5, 51.95% odds to hit the over. And Lamar Jackson passing yards, they like that over. Zay Flowers fantasy score. This does seem, I think I'd still rather just have the receptions, personally. 15, if he doesn't get in the end zone, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get there. So if he goes for 6 receptions for 75 yards, that's 13.5 fantasy score. 6 for 75 without a touchdown. So 7 for 75, we're at 14.5. Am I right? Yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like that just seems actually a little high to me. But if he gets in the end zone, obviously that changes everything. He's probably going to cash his fantasy score. Do we think he gets in tonight when they've been targeting guys like Devontae Walker and Hopkins, so we'll have to see. But that is an option that the optimizer does like to go over if you guys want to take it. Then Jared Goff interception, I like that going over as well. That'll kind of do it. I don't think this is going to be a fun game to watch. It's just, I feel like it's very concentrated on like where the value is. So we'll see how it goes. But that's going to do it. If you guys do want the optimizer for yourself, use code BACKDOOR. You get 25% off your first purchase. So as long as you want to lock that in, you can take care of the whole NFL season right up front and get 25% off the whole thing if you want. And they have a lot of other cool tools. They have like an AI slip generator, just build slips for you. They've got a middling tool. They've got a fantasy scores tool. You can get that 25% off of any of these tools for as long as you want when you use code BACKDOOR. And last but not least, if you guys want my favorite app, Outlier, you get it free for a week. Just sign up through the link below and they'll give you access to this for a week just to give it a test run. I highly recommend if you do that, make sure you go play with everything because this thing can get so meticulous down to the smallest of things that might change the way a play ends up working out. And I love it because I love all the details, obviously. But let's get started in the green tonight and get our week started off right. So don't forget to like the video, hype the video if you guys don't mind. It's kind of what keeps me going, honestly. Drop me a comment because it just helps keep this whole thing turning, keeps me making videos. So much love, guys. God bless. I'll catch you in the next one.